engineering is still worth it? I mean, there are so many AI tools out there that do the things that we are doing way faster, and after Devin, I'm not even sure. Now, let me stop you there. Yes, it is still worth it, and yes, you should still become a software engineer. The thing is this, AIs are just tools, and that's what they are. They are tools that are there to help you become more efficient and effective when it comes to your work and basically work faster. And that's what you need to do. It is pretty normal for the wolf to evolve, and every single day there are tools that come out left and right, not only in the tech industry, but also everywhere else. So just keep in mind that those tools are there for you to learn them, to learn about them, to use them into your work. And that's how you're going to keep yourself alive. That's how you're going to make sure that you don't fall out, basically, out of this industry. Now, how do you become a software engineer in 2024? Because that's what we're here for, right? We want to talk about software engineering in 2024 and basically making sure that you become successful at it and become a software engineer by the end of the year, right? So let's start it. This video is sponsored by Scrintal, an online platform designed to be your brainstorming canvas. Now, it's basically a place where you can dump all your ideas and make sure to plan them later on and also put those plans into actions. Now, instead of me talking about Scrintal, I would like to demonstrate to you guys by showing you every single route and path that you can take in order for you to become a software engineer. So let's get on with the video. Now, when it comes to software engineering, there's a lot of paths that you can take. So it depends on one route you want to take. You can go the traditional way and just go to university and study computer science and become a software engineer, or study IT, or study software engineering. That's like the routes that you can take. Another route that you can take are boot camps. You can go to a boot camp and learn coding in like 3 to 6 months, and basically make sure that you have the knowledge that you're supposed to have by the end of it. And the thing about boot camps are that they're pretty intense in the 6 months. Now, the last route that you can take is basically self-taught. You're going to teach yourself how to code with tutorials, with YouTube videos, with all the online courses or free online courses that are out there. It might be the cheapest, but it's also one of the hardest routes that you can take because of the fact that you have to be disciplined. Now, I already mentioned a few pros and cons regarding each route, but let's dive a little bit deeper into the pros and cons of each one of those routes, and so you can basically find out for yourself if you want to take that route or not. I forgot to mention this, but this Scrintal board is linked down below, so you guys can check out everything that I noted and basically read it after this video. So when it comes to the XF route, one pro is that it's flexible. You can learn whenever you want, wherever you want. It doesn't matter when you learn, what you learn. You just have to have the mindset of that you're going to do that and just learn it. Doesn't matter what time. So it doesn't matter if you do it in 1 a.m. It doesn't matter if you do it at 8 a.m. So it's up to you. Also, the problem with that flexibility is that it's going to take you a lot of discipline. You have to be disciplined enough for you to become a self-taught software engineer, because it's hard. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to sit down and tell you guys that it's easy to become a software engineer. I mean, no industry is easy, to be honest. You have to put in the work. But when it comes to teaching yourself coding, it's going to be even harder because there's nobody to push you. There's nobody to help you. It's just you. But one thing that I recommend you guys is join communities. Join communities. It doesn't matter if you're self-taught or if you're going to boot camp or you're going to university. Join communities. When it comes to the traditional route, universities, you're going to get a lot of theoretical and in-depth knowledge about computer science, about coding, about everything else, because there are going to be a lot of lectures, and you have to basically do either your bachelor's, and after bachelor's, if you want, you can do a master's and all of that to get a degree. But a con when it comes to university is that it's long term. So it's at least 3 years that you have to go to university, and also it's a higher financial investment because university is expensive. Even if in like Germany universities are free, you have to pay for your living, right? You have to work next to it. So there's quite a lot that you need to basically think about when you go to university, because it is a longer commitment, and you have to make sure that you have the time to prioritize it and don't become a dropout, basically. So think a lot and long before you go to university. But with a degree, you have a higher chance of getting employed, because a lot of employers are still looking for someone who has at least bachelor's degree. I know that a lot of them want also people with master's degree, especially in like Europe and stuff, which needs to get changed, because I don't think you learn that much in master's. Master's is always easier. than the bachelor's. A pro when it comes to bootcamps is that they are short-term, they are intense, and you will learn a lot in a short amount of time, which now is the con, can be hard. It can be hard for some people to learn that much in just 3 to 6 months. It can be hard for some people to sit down and push through. Also, when it comes to like bootcamps, you have to do a lot of research, which ones are known by the industry and which one are accepted by the industry. Because let's be honest, there are a lot of bootcamps, a lot of people come up with bootcamps that are going to teach you how to code, but are they also accepted in the industry, or they are also good quality? Like because your goal is to get hired at the end of the day, right? Can you get hired with that bootcamp? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. That's the question that you should ask yourself when you're starting a bootcamp or when you want to invest in a bootcamp, because they're costly. Like you have to pay 20 to 50K to get into a good bootcamp. Now, once you have picked a route for yourself, you obviously need to start to code. When it comes to like bootcamps and university, you always have a language that they start with. Usually for universities, it's Java, and for bootcamps, they start with Python. Most of them start with Python. So it doesn't matter what language you start with. I always say this, and I want to say this one more time. It doesn't matter what language you start with. What matters is that you learn coding, you learn problem solving. I know that when you're a beginner, you don't really understand what I was saying, but if you ask every single person who has experience in coding, who has like years of experience, they will tell you the same thing. Because at the end of the day, the syntax and the semantics of a programming language are pretty easy to learn. But what is not easy is the problem solving part. How are you going to solve a problem? How you're going to write an algorithm? Those are the stuff that you need to think about when it comes to coding. So your first programming language doesn't matter. I started with Java. I haven't used Java in a long time now. Why your first programming language doesn't really matter. What matters is what type of developer you want to become. Do you want to become a mobile developer? Do you want to become a web developer? Do you want to become an AI developer or a AI researcher? Or do you want to become a game developer? Like those 4 are the most known and famous industries that a lot of developers tend to go to. Obviously, you can switch up and become a data scientist. That's also possible. Or you can don't develop at all and go into cloud and data security and all of that. That's also possible. You don't need to code there. But yeah, these are like the 4 that I'm going to go more in depth to. Now, when you want to become a mobile developer, there are like native developers who use either Swift for iOS or Kotlin for Android development. You can also learn cross-functional development, which you can learn with React and Flutter. So for React, it's JavaScript is the programming language that you need to learn, and for Flutter, it's called Dart. Now, when it comes to web development, there are 2 paths that you can take. It's front end and back end. Front end is basically how cute your website is, and back end is everything else that you don't see. So for front end, I would recommend you start with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, because those are the 3 that is used the most. And for backend is JavaScript and Node.js. Now, AIs are a world for themselves, and the programming language that is used for AIs is Python. Everybody uses Python, and I always recommend people to start with Python because it's not only easy to understand, but it's quite powerful, and you can do a lot with Python. And last but not least, you have game development. If you want to become a game developer, for Unity, you need C#, and for Unreal Engine, you need C++. So those are the 2 platforms that you can use to develop games. Now, as you can tell, there are a lot of programming languages that you can learn, and I didn't even mention 5% of it, to be honest. But if you're not sure about what route you want to take, if you don't know if you want to become a mobile developer or web developer or AI developer or anything, and you're not sure, you just know that you want to work in this industry, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. So the first thing is, I know a lot of people want to learn a programming language pretty fast, and the only way for you to learn a programming language is through practice. So you need to build project after project. And if you genuinely want to learn how to program, stop the tutorials. You need to watch tutorials like, let's just say for 4 weeks, and after that, give it up. You need to be done with tutorials. You need to start building your own projects as soon as possible. If you can start your own project in like 2 weeks, go ahead and do that, because through the projects, you will start learning how to think. You will start learning how to think like a programmer, like a developer, and basically solve problems. That's why you need to start your own project as soon as possible. I already mentioned this. Programming is not programming language. So basically, when you want to code, you need to learn how to code, not learn the language. Like, that's not it. Coding is more problem solving. So it's basically another word for problem solving. You basically solve problems in code. That's about it. There is nothing else to it. And to learn how to solve a problem with code, it's hard. It's harder than just learning a programming language. That's why pick a programming language that you think is easy, that you think is going to be easier for you to understand how to code. I think for a lot of students, Java is easy to understand, and also Python is easy to understand. So learn coding with those programming languages so that you understand how to code, basically problem solving. That's the skill that you need to have. I know I've mentioned this quite a lot, but that's the skill that you need to have. Now, one thing that you also need to keep in mind is that I already mentioned is tutorial hell. Get out of it. Do not watch tutorial after tutorial after tutorial. Even if you know that you don't have the skills to build your own project, just start doing it. Honestly, just start with a Hello World project and then move on to creating a calculator, creating, I don't know, what else do you, a randomized word game, creating a randomized movie picker for yourself. All of this stuff are pretty easy and you can create them really fast, but you need to create them on your own in order for you to understand how to code. So get out of the tutorial era, stop watching tutorials and start building. So now, this is basically how you become a software engineer. Obviously, if you want to stick out, you need to create your portfolio, you need to just get ready for a technical interview. You also need to build your soft skills, which are so important when it comes to becoming a software engineer, especially if you want to get big and have a higher position. Soft skills are the key to your high position, not your technical skills. And a lot of people who are in elite positions, they don't have the technical knowledge, but they have the soft skill leadership and team building and all of those stuff. So make sure to also learn those because they are important in the corporate world.